I call this regular session of the Wetzel County Schools to order. We will begin the opening with a pledge of allegiance led by me and follow with a moment of silence. Anyone not wishing to participate may stay seated. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Okay, we'll start with delegations, and our first one is Rodney McWilliams.
Happy New Year. I just had a couple really general questions concerning the budget. And before I start, I wanted to make a special effort to thank Mr. Lancaster. Over the years, whenever I've requested any kind of financial information, he's always been forthcoming and without, if I have any questions, he's always willing to answer. I really appreciate that way back when and even currently. But my question tonight is concerning or regarding the yearly budget surplus, is the term I'm calling it, I'm not sure the official term. Budget surplus in that whatever is allocated to the schools to spend versus what's actually spent. And any carryover surpluses from prior years. I'm just kind of curious as to what that budget, what that surplus amount is or was, because I know by reading the board minutes and the newspaper clippings that purchases are being, if not made, at least allocated for it. The Rite Aid building and employee bonuses and such, and I just kind of wanted to get a feel for what the surplus started out at, how much has been committed, how much has been spent, and what the balance is currently. Because my concern is, it is taxpayer money that's a surplus. If the schools aren't spending it, is it being saved for anything in particular, set aside for anything, or does it get returned to the county's general fund like the federal government does when they underspend their budget, their allocations? So that was general questions about the surplus. I'm not sure if Mr. Lancaster can answer them tonight, or if it's just something to bring up at a later date, but that's a concern that I've had and other people that have asked me my knowledge of it, which isn't enough to answer their questions, so I bring it to you all tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I should have stated that, and Mr. McWilliams knew this, so I appreciate it, that it has to be 5 minutes and directed to us when we make anything, and that we are not allowed to respond at that time. If it's on the agenda later, it can be discussed, but that we cannot respond to a delegation. Our second delegation is Michael Dantracy.
Superintendent Porter, President Fauner, and ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Michael Dantracy. I have a bachelor's degree in physical education and a master's degree in coaching and sports administration. I am here to talk about the introduction policy for an extracurricular integrated PE credit. In today's world, the need for proper physical education continues to grow. I urge you to consider these points I bring to you today as we discuss the extracurricular PE credit. Today I will discuss what proper physical education should include, the rising need for physical education, and how proper physical education during the school day has been proven to have a positive effect on school performance in other subjects. You wouldn't give a math credit for an SAT prep course or an English credit for a book club. A proper physical education is about more than just rolling out a ball, playing games, and running out energy. According to Shape America, the National Society of Health and Physical Educators, physical literacy is the ability to move with competence and confidence in a wide variety of physical activities in multiple environments that benefit the healthy development of the whole person. This is also the goal set by West Virginia standards. As a teacher with a bachelor's degree in physical education and a master's degree in coaching, I am recognized as a credible source to talk about the goals of both coach and physical educator. Physical education develops the physical literate individual through deliberate practice of well-designed learning tasks that allow for skill acquisition in an instructional climate focused on mastery. As a coach, you focus on specific skill development for the purpose of winning games in your particular sport. In order to achieve a proper physical education and develop physical literacy in our students, students need to be educated in multiple activities. Extracurricular sports should remain an option to enhance the education of students, not be a full replacement of a proper physical education class. Like I previously stated, you wouldn't give a math credit or an SAT prep course. for an SD prep course or an English credit for a book club. These are to enhance the education. As a county, we are focused on standard-based grading. An extracurricular PE credit would not be in line with such grading. The credit does not fully line up with or meet the West Virginia standard set by the state. It fails to meet 12 of the standards, including the failure to complete the fitness gram assessment. In fact, the only standards that would meet are the standards fully based on being physically active, and not the standards based on developing the student's physical literacy. This would impact our ability to maximize the education of our students. Secondly, according to the United States Center for Disease Control, our state ranks first in the nation in obesity rates, drug overdose rates, heart attacks, heart disease, high blood pressure, and are top 6 in physical inactivity days. We are also in the top ranked states in all other negative health indicators such as cancers and premature deaths. If we make any changes to our requirement for physical education, it should be to increase the requirement, not to offer options to decrease the required amount. As it stands now, all students are required to take the PE course, which is based in building our students' physical literacy, and have the option to subsidize that education with an extracurricular sport for added physical activity time. If we implement the extracurricular PE credit, it will flip that focus and have students voluntarily taking PE, the educational course, which will hurt students as they move on past their time in their involvement of their chosen sport. The CDC has actually listed one of their methods of battling the obesity epidemic that attacks our nation for a call of increase in availability and funding for physical education programs. Less than 5% of high school students continue their sports career after their high school years end. A proper physical education helps educate students in multiple facets of activities, not just one sport, to help fill the void left by absences of daily practice in sport-specific weight training. Lastly, I want to discuss the benefits of having students take physical education during the school day. Many studies have found that daily moderate to vigorous activity during the school day has been found to boost performance in core subjects. One book in particular, Spark, by John J. Rady and Eric Hagerman, documents real-life examples of this relationship. One example out of this book is at Naperville Central High School. Many students were struggling with English literacy and were required to take extra lessons to improve reading comprehension. The school then decided to instead explore the effects of exercise on learning and required one group to perform vigorous activity right before class. This exercise program found that this exercise program called 0 Hour PE improved the group's reading comprehension by 17%, while classmates who didn't participate in this program were only improved by 10.7. Another study found that over a 3-year period, students who engaged in physical activity lessons during the school day improved a percent of 6%, while others that did not participate over the 3 years had a decrease of 1%. In conclusion, PE is about more than just being physically active. A proper physical education can help boost school performance, build physical literacy, and help battle the problem that faces our nation of the obesity epidemic. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank both of you for speaking. Okay. All right, next thing on the agenda is number 3, the superintendent's information.
Okay, just a couple things tonight. I just wanted to inform you that we are going to terminate our lease of the old Napa building out in 100 as of June. We do not have a wrestling team, and they're going to be able to use their facility for archery that they already have. We spoke with Mrs. Sigley. It was actually her idea. She said we do not need to spend the money on renting that facility. Secondly, very good news. We have all 4 of our middle level school principals have received grants for Project Lead the Way, totaling $20,000 for each school, which is $80,000. Our focus to get more CTE into the middle school, middle levels, is going to happen starting next year. That money will pay for training teachers in the exact curriculum of Project Lead the Way, and also some of the supplies that we'll need. Also, Mrs. Sigley got a grant to do adult education after school recently. I just got that yesterday. And Dr. Emsch got a nice grant to put in a maker space or like a fabrication space in his building, which will enhance his Project Lead the Way grant that he got already. So that's about $104,000 in grants we've received in the last 2 weeks. So.
If we could do that every 2 weeks, it would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, is that everything there?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You said you're going to discontinue the lease in June.
Yes.
Can we say why we're waiting till June?
Well, so
Because-
I know, because we only have to give it 2 weeks notice, but the consensus was to give the person enough time, to be more fair to the guy that has so graciously let us use that building. Are you not okay with that?
not really, because
Okay.
if he needed the building, I think if I remember the lease says we gotta give him 30-day notice one way or another.
I think it's 2
2
weeks.
Is it 2 weeks? Okay, well, 2 weeks, so if he wanted the building for something, he wouldn't tell us, give it, you know, wait till June, we'll take it.
I'm not sure if when is archery season?
Right now.
Right now, so they still use it for archery, and that's part of the reason, they still have to move their mats and find a place for it, I know we can get that out, but it's still being used for archery right
Okay.
now, so.
That's fine, that's okay, I'll go along with that.
Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, let's look under the superintendent's recommendations. Approval of minutes from the regular meeting on January 9th, 2024, and the special meeting of January 17th, 2024.
Move for approval.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Costello. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, under the next section, before we vote on it, under personnel matters, turn to the second page on the agenda. On the mentor teachers, the second one down, instead of Whitney Healy, that should say Stephanie Long. It's going to be the one there. Okay. So under personnel matters, we have retirements, service personnel, mentor teachers, leave of absence. So do I have a motion to approve all of those?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Glasscock. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Ratification of superintendent's recommendation, which is consideration of possible action on the superintendent's recommendation that a professional employee's one-day unpaid suspension be ratified by the board.
I move for executive session.
It's been moved by Mr. Castelo to go into executive session. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Mr. Price. All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. According to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, B-2-A, we're going into executive session for discussion of personnel matters. Okay. this meeting back to order at 6:15. We left executive session at 6:14, which was moved by Mrs. Nice and seconded by Mrs. Fawner, and it was unanimously approved to come back to regular session. Would you like to make a recommendation, please?
Madam President, What's County Board of Education, I'm asking that you ratify the unpaid suspension of Stephanie L. Fritzman.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mrs. Nice. Do we have a second? I'll second it. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay, now we're under routine matters, chaperone and volunteers, and again, that name has been vetted, correct? Okay, out-of-state trips and request to use facilities. Do I have a motion for approval of the superintendent's recommendation as outlined under routine matters?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Castlew, is there a second?
Yes.
Seconded by Mr. Price. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Treasurer's report.
The item that I have for you in item A is, I'm asking for approval for the budget supplement that you have in front of you, $94,964.01. Those are two of those three grants that Mrs. Porter has talked to you about tonight. There's the Epic Learn Local Grant, the CTE community-based hobby classes. So that's the adult ed classes. They're gonna have CTE-based and teaching some of the community members some of the
That's great.
CTE classes there. That's the $14,964.01. And then, of course, you got your $20,000 for all of our middle schools for the Project Lead the Way, which adds up to another $80,000 there. That's the budget supplement. Your transfer is quite a large one. About every year at this time, around this time, I'll bring a large transfer to align salaries. One of my first steps in creating the budget is you copy existing salaries forward, and then you make adjustments from there. If my existing salaries aren't budget's not lined up where it needs to be, it creates a big, so for example, a teacher, we budgeted a teacher at Payton City High School, that teacher moved to New Martinsville School, and my budget's all messed up. So this is moving those lines. Or a teacher retires, that's the teacher I budgeted, we have a younger teacher with less of a salary, my budget's all messed up. So this cleans all that up. Add to that our supplement that we just added. That budget is really messed up, and it's every line item, like CTE has a different line item than preschool. Preschool has a different line item than special ed. Special ed has a different line item than regular ed. So there's a whole bunch of transfers that has to happen to make that. So this is routine. It's a large amount, but it's a routine salary transfer. That's all I'm asking for tonight.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Lancaster?
This does or does not reflect the $2,000 at the end of the year?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It does. I've moved the line item so when we do the carryover budget, and we this covers everything in that for that $2,000,
Okay.
but I'm still short approximately $1.1 million. But instead of being short 2,000 here and 2,000 here and 2,000 here, I'm short in one spot by
Okay.
1.1 million, and then when we do the carryover, which we've already committed to, I will plug that 1.1 million into my shortfall. So
We'll fill in.
it cleans it up, but we still have to supplement the budget to cover that cost.
Okay.
And is that the one that's in April? No?
No, that'll be, we actually were around at the schools the past 2 days talking
Okay.
to, we're supposed to do it last week, and the weather and sickness, and so we weren't able to do that. So we're gonna, it'll be moving forward. We haven't set a date for you, but
Okay.
it'll be before our regular April budget session.
Okay,
It'll be coming soon. We just have to iron out a few things.
okay, all right, thank you. Okay. So do I have a motion for approval for transfers and increases in the budget?
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Castello, I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now, first reading of the new Wetzel County policy, which is extracurricular integrated physical education credit. Let's have any discussion that we wanna have on it, and then we'll see about motioning. So,
Just some point of clarity questions. This isn't, and any time I'm wrong, just say, no, that's not exactly right, Mr. Press. This isn't we're not creating this rule.
No.
This is a policy to govern an already existing allowance.
Correct,
The state already allows for this.
yes,
And not to trap you here, I'm aware of this because my daughter's already done this when she was at Payne City High School 4 years ago. Okay, when she was a freshman and sophomore years, I'm trying to think about when it was. How old is she now? Anyway, this has already been done. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yes.
This has already been done.
yes,
Where marching band, I know of a handful of students over the past several years that have advantaged this state law allowing for this because of scheduling issues. And that was the reason. It was conflicts. They were trying to take other curriculum areas, and in small schools, certainly, we all know it, that a class is only offered in one period. And if that's when gym is as well. How do you make that work? Well, you make it work by skipping a, by the way, they skip a music credit, so you lose a music credit when you, in the marching band, and you accept a PE credit for that. You're not getting a credit for band and a credit for PE, you're getting a credit just for band. I'm sorry, just for PE, if that's what you're doing. And so I just wanted that point of clarity, is that this isn't Wetzel County Schools creating some new philosophy about allowing students to, this is us trying to govern it and make sure there's a policy relating to it since it is state permitted.
correct.
Is all of that accurate?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
When we cleaned up, and you might know this, when we cleaned up, all the policies, clear back from 1978, over a couple of years, it took us to get through them all. Sometimes the lawyer would tell us that we didn't need a certain policy because it was already in state,
Correct.
and we would take it out, isn't that correct?
Yes, that happened quite often.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you're saying, see, I didn't know this. I feel like I've learned so much from you and from Mr. Dan Tracy both tonight. So it's already in state.
Yes,
Yes.
it's already perfectly,
Yes,
and
there are already
it's already been
many other
accessed by many students across the
counties,
state.
correct.
I
That's
don't believe
correct.
we had this in county policy at the time.
No, I don't
Yeah.
remember ever seeing
But
that,
it's
but
been
I just
allowed by
wanted to
state,
say,
correct.
yeah.
And I just wanted to make, yeah, I was trying to make that clear too, in my mind, this was never in the policy manual.
Correct.
Mm-mm.
Or,
No,
okay.
Then if the state has got it, why do we need a policy?
Because it says in policy 2510 that county boards of education must have a policy. You're allowed to do it. The policy 2510 says you are allowed to do it, but also has a caveat. It says each district must have a policy to regulate it.
If you're going to do
But the part that concerns me here is, what about the kids that's not capable of playing football or,
They'll take gym, they'll take some type of gym class. So it's all SICC sanctioned sports, so band also counts. So if you're,
marching.
marching band also counts.
but what if you got a child that's not going band or football or any kind of sports? I mean,
They'll take
you're
phys ed.
You're kind of leaving them out in left field,
No,
right?
they'll have
No.
phys ed at the school. We're not gonna get rid of teachers or do away with phys ed.
No, they'll
It's
still
still
get it.
offered there.
Right,
But-
yeah, we'll still have all kinds of
Yeah.
phys ed, weightlifting, all
All
of
that
those
stuff.
things.
Yeah.
And does this, if I'm looking at this right, this would open up, maybe this was a good example, this would open up an elective then, that a child could pick something else up also,
Yes,
that way.
it's also gonna make it easier if they wanna take some of those classes that are blocked, like going to the career center, where they don't have space because they need that elective, so it's going to allow
Right.
much more flexibility for students, just to be able to get the things that they need. Right now, a lot of our students are kind of pigeonholed into exactly what they need just because of the size of our schools, so this will give more flexibility for that. And if they wanna take another college credit, if they're on that track, they could also take an extra college credit that maybe they couldn't fit in otherwise.
So with the exception of maybe Mr. Price's daughter, we've never used this in Wetzel County up to this point, is that correct? To anybody's knowledge?
There was more than her.
Yes,
I used her as an example because I felt
Okay.
comfortable
Well, I'm not
using my
throwing
own
her under the
child to
bus.
do that.
so
But
when
there
we,
was more, there have been more students than I can't reveal that to you, cause I'm not allowed to,
Right.
but there's,
when we brought this up to start talking about it, we realized that some schools were using it because they had just realized it was a state, something that the state said we could do. They didn't realize that we had to have board policy, so some of our kids are taking advantage of this at this point, so we wanted to bring it to full circle so that we could have it board policy.
But this is not to do away with any jobs or
No.
anything like that,
No.
correct?
And phys ed will still be offered.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
Can we request, or can I request, or somebody request, that the schools, the secondary schools discuss this policy, because I'm not sure everybody has seen the policy. I mean, I've seen it because it came with the,
It's on our website.
And I
It's on
did
the
speak,
website. It's
with the secondary principals.
So that's-
And they all receive agendas and everything, just the same as the five of you.
And it's on it's on our website.
So it's out there.
Policy for
so
review.
between now and the next meeting, we should encourage anybody that wants to read the policy as it reads to go on the website and see it, or
It's
get a
available.
copy,
It's
or
been
get a
up there
copy
since
from
last
the
Thursday.
principal.
And like I said, I did speak with our principals,
Right.
because we do have some that are using it, and we do have some that are very excited that this will be opening up the schedule for more flexibility, more possibilities, more curricular choices.
I'm just trying to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to know,
Yes.
you know.
And again, this is just a first reading.
Right, yeah, I
I mean, so
understand
we
that,
can
but I
collect
just,
more information during this week of what
Can we
we're
pull
writing.
this off tonight and put it on another agenda later? And
Well-
give everybody, make sure everybody's got a chance?
Well, everybody does, because the principal's already been
But
informed,
the
and it's online, and we're just doing first reading, Mr. Glasscock, we're not doing second. So they will have time, they'll have a few more weeks now until the next board meeting. They do have time. I move that we accept on first reading, policy IC, extracurricular integrated physical education credit.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Mrs. Fawner, it's been seconded by Mr. Price. All those in favor say aye.
You may wanna
This is
wait.
for, oh, any other
If there are any
discussion?
questions.
Yeah, thank you. Any further discussion? Again, this is just first reading, we're not passing it
and
tonight.
we could encourage, please, the principals to
I
ma-
have, yes,
Yes.
yes.
mention it again. I mean, they may have already mentioned it, but just, you know, we've had so much delay and out of and illnesses and stuff like that. I don't want anybody to say, like, we just said, you know,
Yeah, and we have it posted as well,
right,
yes.
yeah.
All right, so it's been moved by Mrs. Fawner, seconded by Mr. Price. All those in favor say, a first reading. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
No,
Noes, one, okay. Motion carries 4-1, with Mr. Glasscock voting no. Okay, now, number 7, board statement regarding the superintendent's evaluation. The board met with Mrs. Porter, and went over the goals that we had set together earlier in the year, and she exceeded every single goal that we had set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 8, board member committee reports. Anything from Altai?
Maltai is trying to collect, when they're available, the calendars from each school system so they can figure out, you know, about where things mesh. And that's about all we got discussed, because it was, that turned into kind of a discussion about, because some school systems, and I know we're gonna get to the calendar here sometime.
Started last month.
What's that?
I said we started last month.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're in the process, but they're,
You've got your hands full right now.
yeah, he's got enough to worry, but I'm just passing on that they encourage us, and I said, well, lots of things going on, and they realize that, so. And some schools are toying with the idea of having semester ending before Christmas. And I said, I don't know where we are in Russell County with that, because we're working on it, so. And they have no problem with that, but everything, they're doing good down there.
Okay, good, thank you.
I have the Extension Service Committee meeting coming up. It's once a year, on the 19th at 6. So we're gonna go over budget and program updates. Last year was whenever they threw out there about the walking trail, so I'm excited to see what kind of things that they can bring this year. So whenever I get something from that meeting, I will share it.
Thank you very much.
But could I mention the museum, or that's not really under a committee?
That's not in.
Okay.
Okay, all right, other items. Policy 2322, West Virginia Support and Accountability.
Do I have any directors this evening that need to report out? Thank you.
I'm gonna have one more thing before we move on, since it's under other items. I just wanna tell, Mrs. Stanford, I appreciated you getting all the, faculty senate notes put together for us that we got, because that gives us a lot of information.
That's the elementary one.
That's the elementary ones, yes.
We need the secondary
Yep.
ones sometime.
Okay, and, I lost my train of thought when you said that, but yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Things go out quickly anymore. So, okay, does anybody else have anything else? Then the date and time of the next meeting is go ahead.
On that,
Uh-huh.
are we gonna meet,
To say.
are we gonna, we still need to visit sometime out in the Shortline, Pine Grove area, and we still
Right.
need to meet in the Payton City area at some point. We need to,
You need to do
if
that.
not February 13th, let's come back. If, at the minimum, I'd like to see us, if my colleagues agree, to come back on the 13th and have something on that agenda that discusses
Well, even if we
when
did
we're gonna do it.
Hayden City on the 13th, because the weather would be better for us to travel.
Do you wanna have
And
the
the
13th
riverfront?
at Payne City?
That's fine with me.
We could,
Can we go, no.
the end of the meeting could get really long, possibly, if we're doing contract.
Oh, okay. Let's set it at the next meeting then.
Okay.
Whenever we do go to Payton City, maybe I mentioned, can we have it at Payton City Elementary, if it's okay with?
I thought we agreed to have it at one at every school.
We did, and at the time I said, let's just do one per place, and everybody said every school.
Okay.
But if we count how many meetings are left
We'll
in
be
the school
pushing
year,
it.
we're gonna be pushing it. I don't know if
We'll
we'll
do
get,
our
we'll
best
do it
to-
till Wednesday.
we can
We'll
keep
get to as many
going.
as we can.
Okay.
How's that?
I would
At
just
least one per attendance area, and if we can get more, then we can do that.
Okay.
If we could get to Payton City Elementary, if we get a chance, because some people haven't seen our new facility yet.
Yeah.
I just think they'd probably like to showcase it. And
Then we'd have the band play.
And we can see it in that building, we've already been there.
Yeah, we've already been,
Yes.
yeah, so
The
we
band
just,
has
we have to do
So,
Payne
so
City,
we'll, so
short line.
We did.
then on the 13th, we'll come with some kind of
Plan.
agenda item and discussion about when and where from that point forward,
Yeah, that sounds good.
that we'll schedule them. So the 13th, we're gonna schedule. I'm just trying to iron, you asked about that last time,
You
so
did,
that,
yeah.
we are
Yes.
going to schedule them on the 13th.
Yes.
Okay.
And it came to me what I was gonna say, so, I think we need to make sure that we emphasize to the faculty senates that we need to make sure that we're hitting curriculum items every time we have a faculty senate. But it's, I mean, it's good to be able to go over all the other stuff, don't get me wrong, but we need to make sure we hit curriculum on something,
Yeah.
on everything. Okay, so the date and time of the next meeting will be February 13th at 6 p.m. here at the county office.
okay.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Price, do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned.